by Vada Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality.
صلاة سلام على المصطفى رسول إمام بنور الصفا صلاة سلام على المصطفى رسول إمام بنور الصفا حبيب الإله أنار الحياة وقلبي يرى.
So du'as are coming through. Sister Nasima shares with us du'a that we should read until the new government is formed. SubhanAllah, even Sister Razia Isak shared this with us. Allahumma la tusallit alayna man la yarhamuna wa la yakhafuka fina. Oh Allah, do not impose on us rulers who do not show mercy to us and do not fear you about us. I think that's very important that we obviously recite this dua. We make special dua. Everything is in the hands of Allah Azza wa Jal. And Sister Razia Isak also says, ever wondered why Indians don't strike? Because by the time we wash the car, go for the haircut, bath and have tea, strike is over. The Indians are just amazing, isn't it? We're amazing.
Spotlight with Urban Women.
Who's on our spotlight today. As I said, stay tuned and you'll find out why. If you're joining us live on Facebook, I have a book that I'm actually holding up, and it's a book that is called Gaza Forgotten, a woman's journey to an open-air prison, written by Sister Shenaaz. Have a look here. In the back, it says, I am not a writer. I never intended to write this book, but the Almighty Allah has plans for us all indeed. وَمَكَرُوا وَمَكَرَ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. We plan, they plan, but Allah Azza wa Jal is the best of planners. And indeed, we can see that is the story of our woman who's on the spotlight today, Sister Shenaaz Farid. So she actually writes with extraordinary compassion, yet with an equally extraordinary absence of rancor. She has been married for 38 years, subhanAllah, and has 4 children and 10 grandchildren. Her passion for charity work drove her into the heart of Gaza and back. She says, I love Gaza and the people there. I will continue to do all I can to join hands with team and support them in their time of need. SubhanAllah. May Allah Azza wa Jal accept from her. Okay, we have Sister Shenaaz Farid on the line. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Urban Women.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan. A warm welcome to all the listeners, inshallah. Alhamdulillah, this is so amazing. I would firstly like to say shukran to you, Sister Razia, for the invite. I am truly humbled.
Afwan, it's only a pleasure for us to have you here to hear more about your experience, alhamdulillah, as your book states, Gaza Forgotten. And it's so important because I love it. I mean, it's a woman's journey to an open-air prison, as you state on the cover of your book. For those that are watching us live on Facebook, here it is. And I think it's beautiful for us to be able to connect with you, to hear from your perspective, because we in South Africa, subhanAllah, we had the history of apartheid, but we're living in a very comfortable time. So for you to be able to go there, experience, come back, share that with us, I look forward to this whole interview. If we may begin. Now, I know that you you joined a convoy, right? So what inspired you to join the Africa 1-8 convoy and actually travel to Gaza?
Oh, alhamdulillah, that was an amazing journey. But what inspired me was, or who inspired me, I should say, was Marhum Maulana Ihsan Hendricks from Cape Town. Mm-hmm. He used to visit Johannesburg often and often asked me, Shenaaz, you need to get involved with Palestine, because he was very vocal. Everybody knows him. He was this man, he was my inspiration. He educated me and encouraged me to be very vocal and do whatever we can to show our support for the people of Palestine and Masjid al-Aqsa Mubarak. And, I always make dua and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant him Jannatul Firdaus for his stance and support for the Palestinian people, inshallah. Mm-hmm. And, that was my inspiration. He encouraged me all the time. He always educated me about Palestine. When I do go to people and I talk about Palestine. They, like the other day, we had a launch at the bookshop at Al Ansar, and I spoke about a few things about Palestine. And afterwards, people came to me and they say, Shenaaz, you've really educated us today. This we didn't even know. So, he was my inspiration, alhamdulillah. And also, to see the suffering of the people in Gaza really, really made me just want to do more and more and more. Alhamdulillah.
Well, alhamdulillah. Well, it teaches us about what is the sunnah of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, amar bil ma'ruf wa nahi anil munkar. When you see something, you must promote good and stop evil. And of course, our deen encourages us, when you see something, stop it with your hand. And I often say, because that actually shows us the state of our iman, the level of iman, because if we can't do that, the weakest form is that we at least feel bad in our hearts. So if I'm listening, this is who inspired you, the Sheikh. He inspired you to actually be vocal, speak up, make a difference, alhamdulillah, and you're doing that. Can you describe some of the preparations and even the challenges faced by the convoy before embarking on the journey?
Okay, the most important challenge we had was gathering the much needed aid that was needed in Gaza. Like, we wanted to take basic needs such as water, ambulances, generators, medication, trips, wheelchairs, beds, school items, and the list goes on and on. But the challenge was to get that stuff, to get the much needed funds also. And we started the Al Quds Foundation in that same month, or I think 2-3 months before that. And that's where I started as a women's forum for the Al Quds Foundation. And we basically came to Durban, Bloemfontein, Cape Town, Johannesburg, all over Gauteng. I went and I educated, I shouldn't say educated, but I created the awareness about the challenges that the people are facing in the Gaza.
Mm-hmm.
It was really, really important for us to do that before we left for Gaza. And alhamdulillah, in my book, I've got a whole lot of photographs of each step that we took towards that last step in the Gaza.
Mm-hmm.
And, all the women's forums, alhamdulillah, Roshni, Benoni, Durban, all over, invited me, and we had fundraisers, and the ladies alone, we raised 1.8 million rand just from the ladies' little organization that we went, and we the ladies foundation, the group, where we went, and I spoke about the needs in the Gaza, and like I said, created the awareness. And alhamdulillah, that was the challenges that we had, was we needed funds, we needed to get all this stuff, we needed to get into the Gaza. So it was really, really very, very, very big step to take, and the challenge was huge. But alhamdulillah, we managed everything and we were on our way, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, everything begins with niyyah. And of course, if you're doing things for the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal, for His cause, things open up. Indeed, a mammoth challenge, as you've just explained. Share with us, what were your initial impressions, experiences as you entered Gaza?
Oh, my word. When we entered the Gaza, I was in shock. It was like it was worse than what I envisioned. It was sad and heartbreaking, and just how we reached what we thought was unreachable was now sinking in. And I thought to myself, Ya Allah, we are here, alhamdulillah. And we're not sure if we will even make it back home. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew best. And it was really, really, really heartbreaking. It was such an emotional evening when we entered there. It was really, really, really a huge shock. But like I said, Allah took us there. We didn't think we would reach the Gaza, because at that time the war was on. Fighting was happening. They were bombing Gaza. So it was really sad when we got there and we saw and we came to see with our own eyes what was happening there.
Indeed. I mean, you were actually seeing it. We are seeing visuals, we seeing images, but here actually seeing it firsthand, it's obviously completely different. And I can only imagine because there are people that are stuck in there. As we know, it's an open air prison. Share with us, what about the local population? How did they receive you? What was their reaction when you arrived and also bringing in that aid for them?
Wow, when the convoy arrived that evening, it was from Egypt. We managed, it was first day of Ramadan. I think, no, I'm lying. It was around about the 15th of Ramadan. And we then got to the Rafah border from Egypt. And we were escorted by the Egyptian army. And that made me realize how dangerous the journey really was, that we had undertaken. And we got to the Rafah border, and we broke our fast, and then we set off to Gaza city, where we were going to be hosted and staying. And our arrival was extremely a happy time for our brothers and sisters and children in the Gaza. The streets was lined with children holding candles and screaming South Africa, South Africa, South
Subhanallah.
Africa, and running behind the convoy, until we reached the masjid where Ismail Hania was waiting for us. And what a welcome. Alhamdulillah, it was just unbelievable. It was amazing. And it was like how we have load shedding here. Gaza at that time were also just given that 2 hours of electricity in a 24-hour day. So their lights was off, and they had a generator at the masjid, and the children, as we entered the Gaza, where we were going, these children holding, and adults, mummies, daddies, everybody was standing in lines on both sides of the road with the candlesticks and making light. And it was really a happy time for us to be there, and for them as well, because they were just running behind us screaming South Africa, South Africa, with our flags in their hands, with the candles lit. And the reception at the masjid where Ismail waiting for us was amazing. Alhamdulillah, it was just unbelievable the way those people were so happy to receive us at that time.
I'm only picturing, as you are speaking, honestly giving me goosebumps to think that what if the tables were turned? What if it was us, and then there's people coming in with some form of aid, and then knowing that everything is so limited, everything is so controlled in your own land. Even the amount of electricity you get is so controlled. Your homes are just bombed. One day your life is normal, and the next day it's coming like to such a level of genocide and ethnic cleansing. And then I can only imagine and imagine. I can't even say I understand. Imagine what they felt seeing you and the South African flag, knowing how the people from South Africa are supporting them. Alhamdulillah. If I may ask you to share with us one particular memorable or impactful moment from your time in Gaza, what will it be?
For me, every second, minute, hour, and the days that I was in the Gaza was a very sad experience. I cried day in and day out. I could not control my tears, and not just me, but every single person in our convoy. I've seen men cry, and that broke my heart. I saw my husband cry, and that broke my heart. It was an unforgettable experience, but alhamdulillah, we have very good memories of where we were, and how it impacted on us. It was sad. I promise you, every single day was a sad day for us, because there was never a happy moment when we were there, because everything was just in a mess.
Absolutely.
They were bombing. We went to there was one particular morning when we got up, just the day that we arrived. The next morning we got up, and we went to one of and in my book I've got a picture of that, where this bomb fell, and this little boy was 13 years old, and he was on his way to school, but he unfortunately became a martyr. And in his pocket he had a note, and a little bag full of coins. And on the note, he was on his way to school to give it to his teacher to say that this is for the children of Somalia.
Allah.
At that time, Somalia was going under the children, they had this famine and things like that. And that hurt me. And I cried that day. When I got there and I saw the house flattened and this big bomb lying here, that exploded on him and killed him and a few family members. So that for me was really, really a very sad experience.
Indeed. I mean, the little pearls of Jannah, when I just see the children of Palestine, how beautiful they are. Allah Azza wa Jalla created them so beautifully, and to think what their challenges in this dunya. I'm wondering, Sister Shenaaz, how did you and your team actually cope with the dangers and the stresses of actually being in the conflict zone?
It was very stressful, very, very stressful. We were each group were allocated a bodyguard, and we were not supposed to just walk around freely, because apparently the first few days before we arrived, an Italian journalist was killed. And that was because he decided to walk alone, unprotected, without anybody from Gaza with him, or a bodyguard or whoever. So that was very, very scary for us. The Zionists, they used to sail past us in the evenings as we sat on the hotel stoop, and they would shine their search lights into our faces, So that was very, very scary. And so, yes, we were very, very fearful of what might happen to us. But the dangers there, we knew we were going into this conflict zone. We knew that the war was on, but we still chose to go, because we stayed in Egypt for almost 2.5 to 3 weeks because the bombing just wouldn't stop. And we wasted 3 weeks there in Egypt because we could not enter Gaza because of the war. But then we decided, what, we've come this far. We said it's either we die there or we come back alive. But whatever Allah wills for us will happen, must happen. Indeed. So that's how we entered the Gaza, knowing very well that we might not come out of there alive. But alhamdulillah, here we are today to tell the story.
SubhanAllah, ready to be a shaheed, to be a martyr. Through your observation, what would you say were some of the pressing needs of the people of Gaza?
Definitely clean drinking water, medical supplies. And I think most of all was their freedom. They are living in an open air prison. We experienced that ourselves. We knew what it was like to be there. When I saw that wall, Sister Razia, that wall is extremely high and it is so thick. I can't even tell you how the thickness of that wall is. So if you have to drill through there, it will, and that was really, for me, just terrible. And I thought to myself, how can people be living like this? How can children be living like that? If you live in the West Bank, you can't even get married to a girl in the Gaza city.
Wow.
You're not allowed to even get married in, from Gaza, West Bank in the Gaza city or whatever, or Rafah into West Bank. You're not allowed to. Now, how can that be? So, it was the freedom and that water. That is why when I came back and I wrote this book, I raised funds with my book for an agricultural borehole in the Gaza. And I've been doing that ever since. So I've already 3 agricultural boreholes that we're busy with, and we had to stop now because of the bombing on the 7th of October until now. But alhamdulillah, we'll continue to do what we can, inshallah.
Ameen. Allah Azza wa Jal make it easy. Talking about your book, what message or lesson would you love for the readers to actually take away from this beautiful book you've written?
I would like everyone, to the lessons from my book is that I would like everyone to give their time, their lives for Masjid al-Aqsa Mubarak. Our brothers and sisters have sacrificed their freedom, their blood, their lives to protect Masjid al-Aqsa Mubarak. They are the custodians of Masjid al-Aqsa. And if we look at what sacrifices they've been through, especially the past 7 months. It was horrific. It is horrific. It's devastating and it's heartbreaking. And this book is just a story told by a woman who experienced the atrocities firsthand in Gaza, but not as it is now. You know, if it had to be now, I don't know what I would have wrote in that book, because my book was banned. I published it on Amazon for in 11 countries around the world. And one morning I got a phone call from an American radio station. It's almost like the radio station 702.
Yeah.
And they had me on the phone until like 4 in the morning. When the alarm went off, I said to them, I have to leave now. I have to go. And 2 days later, my book was banned on Amazon, and I haven't sold one book on Amazon.
Wow.
But Alhamdulillah, Allah was so great that all monies raised for my projects for Gaza was where I did fundraisings, and I did sell my book by word of mouth with WhatsApp. That was the only way I could sell my book, and I even. So, this book is just a story told by a woman who experienced
And they would do anything, obviously, to silence the truth, but alhamdulillah, the truth must prevail. As we know, you spoke about the Palestinians and how they, it's their blood that they are basically using to save Al-Aqsa and to protect Palestine. As we know, بِالرُّوحِ بِالدَّمْ نَفْدِيكَ يَا أَقْصَى, they continuously saying. We got a message from Sister Asma who actually says, Salams, Sister Razia, I have tears running down. She has tears just listening to you, Sister Shenaaz. And I think it's beautiful if people could grab your book and read it and understand what it's actually like to be there. When you go into such spaces and territories and conflict zones, and you actually see things with your own eye as opposed to just reading or looking at things from a distance, it has to change you. So how would you say that this whole experience changed you personally and professionally?
It has changed my entire being. I could not sleep for nights, weeks on end when we returned from the Gaza. And, months after my return, I had to go and see a person. I don't really believe in these psychologists, Marv, to say that, but I just felt I had to speak to somebody, and say, what do I do? I feel like I've lost my mind. I cannot concentrate. My work was affected. I had a job. I mean, I'm married 48 years now. 38 years then when I wrote. I'm married 48 years now, and I had a 9-to-5 job. I was an executive PA at Liberty Life. So my work was also getting in my way from what I wanted to achieve with my experience in the Gaza. I had to get my life back to normal, and I just didn't know how to until I had to put pen to paper and decided to write this book. I wanted to give my life to the people in Gaza. I had promised the people of Gaza I will come back and be an ambassador for Palestine. I had to keep my promise. I never looked back. Since I came back, I am continuing to do what I can in my own humble way. Alhamdulillah. I want the sisters to dedicate their times, and my brothers. I am 64 years old, a great granny already, and my time is still not up. I will continue to do whatever I can until my last breath. We should not go down in the history books of those who didn't care. Absolutely. We must help in whichever way we can to the better end, inshallah.
Inshallah, absolutely. I now, after we chatting and we wrapping up, I understand fully, as you have written in the back of your book. I'm not a writer and I've intended to write this book, but the Almighty Allah has plans for us all. Beautiful. It was absolutely wonderful connecting with you. May Allah Azza wa Jal accept your niyyah and your intention. And clearly they are not just words and thoughts and should and I'd like to. You are actually being very proactive in your niyyah. May Allah Azza wa Jal accept and reward you abundantly for all your efforts. Until we connect again, Sister Shenaaz, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shukran for having me. It was really, really very humbling Shukran.
Afwan. And that was Sister Shenaaz Farid. We were chatting to her. She's the author of Gaza Forgotten, a woman's journey to an open-air prison. If you're live on Facebook watching me here, you can have a look at what the book actually looks like. A picture of her at the back as well. And subhanAllah, absolutely wonderful. Grab yourself a copy of this book. Understand what it's like, her experience. I'm sure many people have been and they will share with us their experience. All we can say is that Palestine is close to our hearts. May Allah Azza wa Jal bless them with nusra, with afiyah, and with the freedom that they also deserve. Ameen. Time for a break. I'll be back in a bit to wrap up.
Who created me? I had to open my heart and open my mind and open my eyes to see.
Urban Woman, sponsored by Vada Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold, diamond, and platinum jewelry.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness. And every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and Freezer card calculation.